this panel is called Voices of the Sea. The objective of this panel is to discuss art and advocacy in conservation. Art declares a state of emergency for the ocean, and it takes all shapes and sizes, from a 50-meter animal structure made of children sitting on the beach to advocate for oceans, ranging to collecting a pair of items made of man-made natural items. Coupling ocean activism alongside social activism brings an emotive voice to millions of vulnerable voices of marine creatures in agony over the degrading ocean. But to start off this panel, we have a video that should kind of spark some inspiration for the discussion. So if Kiera could play the video. So this video is created by a group called Studio Birthplace, and I actually reached out to them a few months ago because later in the video you'll see they made a almost 3 or 4 meter bamboo plastic whale, and they submerged it into the ocean. And last summer I was a part of a group called the Hong Kong Ocean Youth at Maker Bay, which was founded by Caesar again. And we made a very similar bamboo whale, which we walked through the streets of Chun Wan. So this is another very inspiring and I think relevant art-related project that we wanted to share.
Give it
Our first panelist for this panel is Craig Leeson. Unfortunately, he flied back to the US today, so he couldn't be here with us, but he did share a recording of some stuff he wanted to share for the panel. So we're going to quickly watch that before we get our panelists seated.
Hi everybody, I'm Craig Leeson, the director of the film A Plastic Ocean and a new film called The Last Glaciers, which is coming out later this year. A big welcome to the Youth Ocean Alliance, a World Ocean Summit, a very important summit because the focus of this summit is the world's oceans, and of course without our oceans we simply don't have life on planet Earth. As we all know, our oceans and the environment and the marine inhabitants are under threat because of human pressure on the planet. And that's something that we need to discuss, we need to understand, and we need to find solutions for. 100 companies cause more than 70% of pollution on the planet. So we know who's responsible, and we need to engage corporations and corporate leadership to help us overcome these problems, to find and implement solutions. And of course, politicians, we need to engage them. We need to get them to understand how crucial the health of our oceans are. So how do we do that? Well, we're starting with awareness, and that's what this summit is about. But we need to engage corporate leaders. We need to engage political leaders. Maybe some of you could become politicians and work from within. We could become better designers and design better products. For example, single-use plastics are a design flaw, so we could design our way out of these problems. But we can all engage, we can influence other people, and we can become better and smarter consumers. These are just some of the solutions. I'm sure you'll discuss all of them at this summit. I'm very sorry I can't be there with you. I am traveling and finishing off my new film, but I wish you all the very best.
So that was a very valuable little piece there from Craig. If we could welcome our panelists for this panel onto the stage. Our first panelist is Sean Martin, who is the head of community education for WWF. Do you want to take a seat? Sean was asking me where I got this picture of his from the internet. I think I just Googled you. And it was one of these like random picture of you sitting in a restaurant with a microphone. So
no idea where that come from. So mate, can I have the file afterwards? It's quite
Yes.
good of me, this one.
Yeah, I will send it to you. The next panelist we have is Douglas Woodring, who is the founder of Ocean Recovery Alliance. Actually, if Kiera could go 2 slides back. I just wanted to share this photo, which is something that was done by the Ocean Recovery Alliance. And I'm actually one of those tiny little kids sitting on the beach there. And I think it was very ironic, and I really liked that I was one of the little kids sitting on the beach there, and then I wanted to invite you to come and speak. So it's been really nice to have that. And last but not least, we have Benita Chick, who is the founder of Encompass HK and an LGBTQIA+ activist. Benita is also somebody who provided me with definitely one of the most interesting and valuable opportunities of my life so far, where I gave a TEDx event in partnership with Encompass. So thank you guys for being here. I think we have a microphone. Perfect. So the first question I have for you guys is, what has been the most effective way for you to advocate in conservation? And Benita, do you want to start us off in that question?
Sure. I mean, for me, for Encompass, we do a lot of outdoor tours. We go to Hoi Ha, we go to different things, and just bringing people to the sea, I think is very powerful because, and in one way, I'm grateful for the pandemic in a way that because more Hong Kong people are exploring to Hoi Ha or Green Lake Island, whatever that is. And every time I give these statistics that Hong Kong has more coral than the Caribbean, everybody was so shocked. And I think it's to know about that, know about our ocean, and then people would develop a sense of having empathy with the ocean, having empathy with the solution. So for me, really bringing people outside. And I'm sure that the two other panelists have other ways, but that has been my way of raising awareness on conservation.
Okay, so just while we answer the next question, Benita, if you could come sit here so we have everybody just a little closer together. The next question for I think Doug and Sean, because I know that Sean, you've been in a band before. So the question is, what role does creativity and activism play in conservation?
Oh, it can play a huge role in it. I think the message is as important, if not as the thing that you're trying to sort of put across, and knowing your audience is actually really, really important as well. So understanding what turns people on, where your stakeholders are, in terms of, if we're talking about not the band stuff, but ocean conservation, understanding who actually has a stake in everything to do with the oceans. Is it the fishermen? Is it people, tourist operators? Is it policy makers? Is it this? And then understanding how to talk to them. So voice is actually really, really important as well. Actually being able to communicate with each of these stakeholders in a way that is not condescending at all, but also puts the point across. So in terms of, but then that's where your creativity comes in as well, because actually if you know what turns your audience on, then ultimately you can actually make that, make your message stick if you're using creative methods.
Yeah, thank you. Doug, do you want to share your view on that?
Yeah, well, I agree with Sean. I mean, we've done Kids Ocean Day. You were part of it. We had, every year we did a drawing competition, and the winning drawing became this giant aerial art image on Repulse Bay Beach. So we had a dolphin, we had Trashzilla, we had a shark, which was, we animated and brought the fin back onto the shark so it came back to life. And a reef fish, which you had there, because Hong Kong is actually quite famous for eating live reef fish in the restaurants, and most people don't realize it comes from reefs all around Asia, not from Hong Kong itself. And so they're depleting other people's reefs when they go to this restaurant and eat that. So we like creative surprise, and what that means is you get an audience, including the stakeholder and a sponsor, into the discussion without them really knowing what is going to happen. And then when they get good publicity and everyone's excited, their staff and everyone says, well, that was pretty great, let's do it again. And then you can have a discussion. And that's what we try to do a lot of times.
Creatives. Wow, that is very interesting. I think it's a lot of good advice for other young people here who are trying to do similar things. Creative surprise. The next question that I have, again, for all of you, which I mentioned is going to be asked to all of the panelists, is what is one ocean conservation or environmental conservation initiative that you're currently pursuing?
Okay, so from my end, personally, is something called the City Nature Challenge, which is basically a global competition where cities technically compete against each other, even though I've never really seen it as a competition, but to log biodiversity in their own cities, and of course in the lakes and the freshwaters and the seas around it as well, on the free app iNaturalist. And then after that, basically this data this observational data gets collected into a database which other people can identify. So from a participant perspective, you are informed. Other people actually identify what it is that you've taken a picture of, and you get informed about that. And obviously from the data perspective, you have provided observational data, which can also be scrutinized as part of any kind of scientific study in the future. So, but of course it's gamifying it. So think of it like Pokemon Go, but with real animals and, fish and stuff like that. So ultimately, it's a great way of getting people involved, getting people aware, and getting people informed.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think my love for the environment definitely comes from my dad, but my mom is the passionate one. She was very eager to participate in the City Nature Challenge, so she was around Hong Kong taking like loads and loads of pictures, trying to be the, top biodiversity mapper of Hong Kong. Yeah, Benita, do you want to share?
I'm going to write on Sean's answer. You mentioned the City Nature Challenge. So I know there are some divers in the room, and we have an equivalent version in the ocean, which is the Reef Check. And in Hong Kong, I think it has been going around for 20 years, where amateur divers go out, record number of species of coral, fish. So I have been team scientist for that for many years, and it's great for education, great for coral reef monitoring, and letting people know about it. And the other thing I would say is, I know there are a lot of young people watching online, is don't be very skeptical about Hong Kong oceans. I mean, I teach diving as well, and many people told me there's nothing to see in Hong Kong. But it's not true. There's a lot of things to see in Hong Kong. You don't need to go to Bali, you don't need to go to Maldives. Just go to your backyard, go to Sai Kung, go to Dong Ping Chau, and learn about the ocean. And I think there's nothing better than really going to the ocean than just going to Ocean Park. It's really different. You just being outside and just really know what the corals look like, what fish looks like. And then I think you will have much more empathy with the plastic issue we're talking about, or fishing issue, because you have a first-hand experience. So my advice is just go out, join a tour, go with your friends, whatever, learn about the ocean.
Yeah, I think I really agree with that. I mean, I learned to dive at the age of 10, but actually a few weeks ago I got certified for freediving. And diving was interesting because I saw it more as like a skill that you could kind of teach most people, but freediving is a little bit more of a sport because I find it more physically challenging than scuba. And initially it was very intimidating because Hong Kong's waters can be a little bit dark and cold. And it's kind of a little bit scary, but then when you're down there, you kind of tell yourself like, no, I'm okay, I'm good. And then you see little fish and it's very exciting. And I think it's little things like that. And even just simply knowing the fact that if you learn to dive in Hong Kong, you can kind of dive anywhere because Hong Kong does have, more challenging conditions in other countries. But there's definitely stuff to see. I would say get yourself out there one way or another. Doug, would you like to share some stuff that...
So we've been talking recently about the term the dried ocean, and what that basically is the dyed ocean. You can go to Shangwan anywhere and see all of the dried seafood. And the concept is the ocean is huge. It's a big body of water, but 90% of the fish commercially are already taken away, or they're severely under threat. And everything we're doing is basically with pollution and coral problems and acidification is really leading to a dyed ocean, the dried ocean. So it's like a desert. And a lot of what we work on is plastic pollution. We have a new program called the Collaborative Action for Plastic Pollution. CAP is the acronym. This came out of a UN report that we did, where we scored 580 global commitments on plastic pollution to try to see if they're valuable and they actually get work. Now we have 3 national partners, Seychelles, Fiji, and Curacao, one in each area of the ocean. And the point is to bring collaborative efforts and teach and mentor good programs that are already happening but aren't getting visible. Because so many times people do a project, no one next door knows about it, they repeat it. And they waste all the time, and everyone wastes time in their own space, and there's no way to connect them and learn and get up the curve better so they replicate better, stronger projects faster. And that's what we're putting together now.
Yeah. I think, like you said, collaborating and knowing what other people are doing to sort of create upstream change. I'm currently interning for Parley for Oceans, and somebody asked when we started the internship, who are our competitors? Which ocean conservation organizations do we need to look out for? And I think it was kind of a really interesting question because Parley is very design-based, but they're also very focused on alleviating ocean plastic and repurposing plastic waste. And the answer that we got was that we don't really have competitors because we're all sort of striving towards the same positive goal, which is why I think it's really nice to have everybody here to see what it is that we can do together to kind of create this movement, if you will. The next question that I have is, what is one personal call to action you would give to our audiences? And like I said before, just share something that you've done or what kind of helped you start your journey as an environmentalist and ocean advocate.
No, I think it's the same message. Just go out, and I did my first diving in Great Barrier Reef in when I was 15, and yeah, that changed my life. And I mean, yeah, I think just go out, experience the ocean.
From our perspective, I work at WWF, and we've just re-released our sustainable seafood guide. So obviously with things that are obviously if you're interested in seafood and obviously want to sort of eat seafood and understand what actually you can and can't eat, I suppose, and obviously understand what it is and where it's from and things like that. So yeah, that's it.
I would say just pick it up, just be proud. Pick it up, just be proud. If you do that in the city, people will start looking at you and wondering why you're doing that. They expect a cleaner to do it. They expect someone else to do it, not their friend. And when you do that, especially away from the ocean, that's where we really need to focus. People know what the ocean issues are, but the people inland don't relate to the water very much. And if you can get their attention and picking things up where you go along and be proud of it, that's going to be a huge angle for the environment.
Pick it up and be proud. I really, really like that. I think we're kind of at a place environmentally where, as humans, we sort of have a disconnect from the environment itself, and most definitely we have a disconnect among ourselves. Like there's a disconnect between different social groups, and so being proud is a very big part of that. I think we have some time. We have about 5 minutes for some questions from the floor. So if
Can I just add one,
Yes, of course.
advertisement? My friend is rowing from California to Hong Kong across the Pacific Ocean right now. He's in week 7, almost 8,000 miles. It's called Westbound Rower, and we're putting up a trilingual education program every week. It's the first expedition probably in the world that I know of that has ongoing education about the ocean every single week. It's put up on Westbound Wednesdays. And once schools start, we're going to start live calls with Eruch, his name, by sat phone every 2 weeks with schools in Asia and the US. So their language is English, Chinese, Spanish, and we're probably going to add Turkish soon. So track it, follow it, spread it. Thanks.
That's great. Just a quick note one more time. All of this stuff is going to be on our website. So we will add all of the things that have just been mentioned so people can participate and join. So if you're looking for those, that's where to find them.
So, do you know where he's going to land in Hong Kong? Is he going to land at the
Do you know where he's going to land in Hong
Depends
Kong?
who talks to us the right way between now and the 11th. 11th, I'd say 11th because it's 11 months. He has a real challenge. You know, when you're rowing, you don't go that fast. So getting through the Luzon Strait in March during the winds and the current is a trick to actually get right here from Hawaii. But that's what the attempt is.
Just really quickly, we have some more questions, but it is 7 p.m., Benita, so if you need to leave, that's okay. Does anybody have any more questions for our panelists? Samara? Oh, Nishant.
Yeah, so I believe that the name of the game for ocean conservation is creating interest within people. So with regards to that, what would you say is the most interesting initiative that you've taken?
Or even come across, for that matter.
Yeah.
I used to work in Earthwatch, and one of the program we did is Miffy in the Ocean. So we know that young kids like cartoon character, and we did an exhibit in the Science Museum using Miffy to explain different parts about the ocean, about the plastic, about coral bleaching. And I think going back to the theme of the panel is there's a lot of ways in creativity, innovation, art to express and stimulate interest in the ocean. Yeah.
Well, I think artwork is really good at driving questions and curiosity. We had a 12-meter tall whale in Singapore right before COVID hit called the Skyscraper, and every single person that went by him took a picture, including the Prime Minister. And it just brought everyone's question, where did that come from? Why is it there? Why did they make it out of plastic? Why is it a whale? It would have gone on a whole Asia tour, but COVID stopped that. But,
Yeah.
you know, big things like that can really get people talking.
I think for me, I mean, it's weird because obviously everybody lives on land, right? And so, you know, logically speaking, and we just touched on the subject earlier that, you know, going out into the ocean, not many people do it. So the only real way that people can understand it is maybe through documentaries. So like people like the BBC, for example, do amazing documentaries on ocean habitats, coral reefs, deep ocean, coastal stuff. So I think innovation comes from that. But then you have something like the grandfatherly voice of David Attenborough, which basically can, you know, is more familiar and trustworthy, I think, is something that can sort of really push across the sort of message, I think. But obviously being in it is better, but if not, you know, just switch on your television and go on Netflix, innit?
Yeah. One more question? Yeah.
Hello. Yes, when you're mentioning that you're working, sorry, this is for Sean. When you're talking about the sustainable seafood, I could hear that some others, I don't know who, but I could hear some other people maybe sound quite negative about it. I would like to give you a chance to mention, like, is it possible to have sustainable seafood? And if so, like, how do you educate? I mean, I'm sorry, is this a difficult question? I don't know because I'm actually not educated enough. I don't know.
Oh God, I'm on TV, aren't I? Okay, I'm gonna take my WWF hat off. Okay, I'm gonna put it on. Just gonna put it on my lap here. Just plonk it on Doug here for a second. My personal opinion is there is no such thing as sustainable seafood. Absolutely. But my particular, you know, it's not going to stop people exploiting the sea for anything, not just seafood, as well, minerals or oil or whatever it is. But I do see the sustainable seafood guy as an educational tool as well. I mean, I think with our oceans team are trying to advocate to the general public. We love seafood here in Hong Kong. And of course, to the restaurant businesses as well. We're trying to sort of reach out to them in order to sort of say, look, please understand where the stuff is you're coming from, it comes from, and how you cook it, you know, what you cook and stuff like that. I've never been, again, taking my hat off, I've never thought that there's anything like sustainable seafood. Sustainable farming, I think, is a big question mark about sustainable farming. But people are still going to eat it. And I think Sustainable Seafood Guide is actually naturally a good step in order to educate people about what is good to eat and what is not good to eat. Okay, and of course you have all sorts of myriad of other aspects going on there, like you hear about slavery, you know, with, you know, in fishing fleets and things like that, which is awful, really, really awful, and there's absolutely nothing sustainable about that. But ultimately, putting my WWF hat on, education, awareness, being informed and asking the right questions and getting the right answers and just making the right choices about what you eat and how you use the ocean is the way forward. It's a step in the right direction. Thank you very much.
I think I just wanted to really quickly add something to the question that.
Can I just say, you know, without the attempt to go sustainable, we're screwed. And so farming or whatever, you got to try to believe it, because a lot of it is much better than doing nothing. And once you do that, you innovate, you use different feeds and you different ways to catch. There's no bycatch. That's a huge difference from doing nothing, which has been the past 100 years.
This has been a very interesting panel. I think most of the speakers here and all the panels are in a collective decision that about sustainable eating, and I think that's good. I think you know, we have a team in Mexico, and especially in Cancun, where they're very dependent on the oceans. The team is trying to work with local communities to see how communities that are dependent on the ocean can continue to have that mutually beneficial relationship, because obviously, you know, a lot of people's livelihood is dependent on it, and it's not necessarily realistic to just completely take that away, but how can you change it to go in a direction that's more better in the long run, as well as working in our team in Mexico City, which is working more in awareness space because it is more landlocked. But I think that how the two are connected has become very interesting and something that we're trying to explore more. Just really quickly bouncing off of Nishant's question about what's been the most impactful thing. What's been most impactful to me is definitely stories. I'm a very emotional person, so places where emotion comes in is what makes me interested. And earlier, one of our volunteers, Samara, asked somebody in the video crew, Kit, what should we do to make people care? Like that, Samara said that's one of the questions she wants to ask a lot of the panelists, and he said, people care when they've been cared for. So how can we care for people so that they can care for the oceans? And I think that everybody's here is kind of indirectly trying to care for everybody else to show them what the ocean is like and to kind of teach them about it, to hopefully kind of at some point create a movement. Like I said before, I think it's nice that we're all kind of working together to inspire everybody, but particularly care for each other. I like that word. Thank you so much to this panelist. I think we have 3 minutes just to switch over to the next one. This break can't be as long as the next one just because we want to make sure everybody has their time. But thank you so much. Thank you.